All right, NFL World. This is going to be my round NFL playoff predictions round one video. I go round by round, so let's get into it. Obviously, you know that in the NFC, that y'all know that there's 7 teams that make it in the NFC and 7 teams that make it in the AFC. You also know that there's only one seed in each the NFC and AFC. So your one seed with the bye in the NFC is the Seattle Seahawks, and your one seed in the AFC with the bye in the AFC is the Denver Broncos. You also know that the Seattle Seahawks will go on to play whatever the highest remaining seed. Well, I'll say highest, but they say lowest, but it's technically they consider 7 seed a lowest seed. I consider it a high. Well, I guess it would still be considered. So anyway, Seattle will go on to play the lowest seed, and the number 2 seed. If the Bears do win, they go on to play the second highest seed. So let's get into it. Let's start with same with the Broncos. They'll go on to play the lowest remaining seed. And then the Patriots will go on to play the second lowest remaining seed. So let's get into it. We'll start in the AFC since I'm a Bears fan. They're in the NFC. We'll start with the number 2 seed versus the number. We'll start with the 2-7 matchup in the AFC, and that is. We'll start with the number 2 seed in the AFC. We'll start with the number 2 seeded Patriots and the number 7 seeded Chargers. I am going with the number 2 seeded New England Patriots to get the win here over the Chargers. Good season for the Chargers, but it's going to end here in the wild card round. And then we got the number 3 seeded Jacksonville Jaguars versus the number 6 seeded Bills. You can't bet against Josh Allen in the first round. I'm going to go with the Bills. I'm going to go with the Bills to beat the Jags. I'm sure someone considers upset, but I don't think it'll be, because I just think the Bills are a better team. They just had some bad luck this year. But anyways, going to go with the Bills over the Jags. And then in the 4-5 matchup, we got the Steelers and the Texans. I'm going to go with the number 5 seeded Texans over the number 4 seeded Steelers. I just think the Texans are the better team. So in the AFC, we got the Patriots, the Bills, and the Texans all advancing. Now let's move on to the NFC. We got the number 2 seeded Bears versus the number 7 seeded Packers. Ooh, this is tough. I mean, it shouldn't be because I'm a Bears fan. Even though I truly, for some reason, I just believe the Bears ain't ready yet. I don't think they're good enough to play in the playoffs. They proved that the last couple games defensively. Their offense played phenomenal against the Niners, but their offense has been so inconsistent this season. Bears' offense and defense have been so inconsistent this season. I just don't see them getting out of the first round. But that's motivation for next year, I guess. But I'm still going to pick my Bears at least once in this playoffs, even if they win. I got to pick them at least once, right? So I'm going with my number 2 seeded Bears over the I'm going with my number 2 Bears over the 7 seeded Packers. Then in the 3-6 matchup, I'm going to go with the 6 seeded Niners over the Philadelphia Eagles. I just think the Niners are the better team here. And then in the 4-5 matchup, I am going to go with the 5th seeded Rams over the 4th seeded Panthers. So there we have it. We got the Bears, Niners, and Rams all advancing. As you know, Seahawks will take on the lowest remaining seed. The Bears will take on the second lowest remaining seed. So, obviously, with my predictions in the next round in the AFC, you're probably going to have the Broncos versus So, obviously, you're going to have the Broncos versus the Bills. And you're going to have the Patriots versus the Texans in the AFC in the AFC, and you're gonna have the Broncos in the second round. The way I predicted it, if it comes true, you're gonna have the Broncos versus the Bills in the second round, and you're gonna have the Patriots versus the Texans in the second round in the AFC. And in the NFC, if all my predictions are correct, you're gonna have the Seattle Seahawks versus the Niners in the second round. And you're going to have the Bears versus the Eagles. And in the NFC, if it holds to fruition, my predictions hold to fruition in the NFC, you'll probably have the Bears. You're going to have if my predictions hold to fruition in the NFC in the first round, then in the second round, you'd have the Seahawks versus the Niners and the Bears versus the Rams. But anyways, there's my predictions for round one. Enjoy the playoffs, guys.